Now we're going to find equations of lines. I've got two methods that I'm going to show you. The first method, we're going to be using a formula that should look very, very familiar. So we're going to use your slope formula to find the equation. My step 1, I'm going to substitute the point x sub 1, y sub 1, and the slope m into the appropriate positions. But make sure the slope is in fractional form. Okay, so I'm going to put my slope here and my coordinate point here. I'm going to cross multiply and then find the equation by solving for y in order to get it into the slope-intercept form, which is your y equals mx plus b. So my first example here, I want to find the equation of the line that has a slope of negative 6/7 and goes through the point negative 3, 7. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is put everything in the appropriate position. So here's my slope. It was already in fractional form, and notice I put my coordinate point for y sub 1 and x sub 1. So I've got 7. Remember, when you are substituting a negative behind a subtraction symbol, it is to your advantage to use parentheses. Next thing I'm going to do is clean this up. Whenever I have this situation right here, I'm going to go ahead and change that to x plus 3. Cross multiply, you learned that back when you were in grade school. So I would suggest you go 7 times this and then negative 6 times this. I do have a reason for that. So I indicated, now if you can multiply it without doing this, that's up to you. But if this helps, you get the problem right, then you do it. So distribute through the 7 and distribute through the negative 6. Oops, moved it too far. Please be careful of your signs. Now I'm going to be adding 49 and then divide by 7. And there's my equation of the line that goes through this point and has this slope. At least this right here should show up right here. And if you store negative 3 and type this in, that it would be a way that you could check yourself. Let's see, let me store negative 3. Negative 3 storing for x. And then I need negative 6 divided by 7 x plus my 31 divided by 7. And if we come up with a 7 for my y, then I've got the problem right. So you do have a way that you can check yourself. Alright, so I have a slope, I have point. You have to have that information in order to do the problem. Now in problem 2 here, or example 2, find the equation of the line that goes through the points negative 2, 5, and 7, negative 3. Well, remember earlier I said you need a slope, you need the slope, and you need a point. Well, they give me enough information point-wise, but they also give me enough information to find the slope. They start playing games, in particular with the slope. Things that you have to be able to find the slope. They'll always give you a point, but you've got to go find slopes sometimes. So the first thing I'm going to do is go find my slope, and we've done that before. So find slope first, substitute it in, whichever way you want to do it, and you should come up with a negative 8/9. So now I've got my slope. Now which point do I need to use? It doesn't matter. I usually go with the smaller ones myself. So now I'm going to put my slope and then do y minus y value, x minus x value. So let me move this down a little bit more. So there's my slope, y minus y value, x minus x value, and like I had earlier, I need to make this positive. And now do your cross multiplication. Or actually indicate it first, then actually go and do it. Add your 45. This is where your calculator can come in handy, but add your 45. Okay? And then divide by 9. So let me get that out of the way. And you can check this like we did a little bit earlier. So it's fairly quick, relatively painless, and it's not a new formula that you have to know. Now let's look at this next problem. Parallel to 2x minus 3y equals negative 6 passes through the point. So they gave me a point, but they're giving me information here. They're telling me that the line I need to find is parallel to this one, but if you remember, I can find the slope of this one by solving for y. So let's do that. Let me move down a little bit. So I pulled it down, subtracted 2x. Now I'm going to divide by negative 3. And remember, this is y equals mx plus b. So here's my slope. Now, another thing you have to understand here is what the word parallel means. Parallel lines are lines that never hit, and they have the same slope. So now that's my key. Here's the slope I need. There's my point. So let's go put it in the appropriate position. This time I've got to make y plus 9. And do your cross multiplication 3 times this y plus 9. I always do it that way because it automatically gets y on your left hand side. And distribute through, and that's all that is multiplication. Subtract 27, that would give me a negative 35. And then divide by 3. Boom, there's my slope. So this is all 3 examples of using your slope formula to find the equation of the line. But you've got to have slope, you've got to have a point. And in problem 2 and 3, they were a little bit more difficult because I had to go find my slope first. But then I proceeded like I did earlier. Now that was method 1. Let's look at method 2. This is called point-slope form of an equation. If you take that formula earlier, the m equals y minus 1 over x minus x sub 1, and cross-multiply it, that's where this formula came from. So it's one or the other. I've got to substitute my point in, and for my x here, my y here, and my slope. Notice it says into the appropriate position. Distribute the slope through the parentheses, and then solve for y. I like this form. A lot of instructors like this, and it's very, very fast if you bring your calculator into play. So find the equation of the line that has slope negative 8/15 and goes through the point negative 7, negative 11. So first thing I'm going to do is put it in the appropriate position. Here's this, my y value here, x value here, and there's my slope. And if you remember earlier, anytime I have this, I always change that to a positive. So let's see if I did it again. I always will. Now, here is where the calculator comes in very handy. It's very quick. Now, negative 8/15 times x is just negative 8/15 times x. That's relatively painless. But it's this negative 8/15 times 7 that if I use my calculator times my 7, and I'm going to go frac it. It's under your math. Don't give me decimals. So first distribute. Let me move it down a little bit. Let me get my calculator back. And that goes right here. Now the nice thing about this is you're almost done. All I need to do is subtract 11 from both sides. Now I need you to see what I do in my calculator. Don't type anything in for this. It's already there. So if you go subtract, that jerks that answer down. Let me type in my 11. I want to go frac it. There's my answer. Very quick. It's quicker than the other one, but the other one some people like because they like the cross multiplication. But this is so quick using the calculator. Alright. Let's try it. Look at the next one. Find the equation of the line that's parallel to y equals 3/7 x minus 2 and goes to the point 9, -1. Well, sometimes they're nice. Here they're already giving me the equation in slope-intercept form, so I know my slope is 3/7. Since they use the word parallel, that's the slope I need. So let's always indicate what your slope is. You'll find out why here in just a second. So in this part, I'm going to substitute in stuff where it needs to go. Okay. I'm going to make that positive. Let me move down. I'm going to distribute through. Let me get my calculator back. 3/7 x. Now I'm going to do 3/7 times the -9. So 3/7 times -9. Go frac it. Now if you forget to frac it, I'll do that on the next problem. You can frac it now or frac it later. It really doesn't matter as long as you frac it sometime. So now when I distribute the 3/7 through, I'm going to have 3/7 x minus 27/7. Come on, little box. A little bit more. Let me get my calculator back up. There it is. Now, earlier, if you remember, you just do the opposite. It'll either be subtraction or addition. So I'm going to subtract 1 here. So let me do -1. Let me this time just hit enter. Let me frac it now. Okay. So my answer will be y equals 3/7 x minus 34/7. See how quick that is? It's so nice. Alright, one more. Find the equation of the line that's perpendicular. A different ball game here. Not parallel, perpendicular. And goes through the point -2/7. Now, first thing, I'm going to have to solve that for y regardless. So I'm going to add 3x, then divide by 13. So I added 3x and I divided by 13. Okay. Now, the slope of this line is 3/13. They use the word perpendicular, not parallel. If it's perpendicular, the slopes of the two lines, when multiplied, have to give you a -1. So if this is 3/13, if I need a -1 when I multiply the other slope, my other one's going to have to be a negative. But for me to get a 1, I got to flip this. Get the reciprocal, however you want to remember it. Let me see what I wrote here. Slope is 3/13, but we want the slope of a line that's perpendicular, so our slope will be -13/3. Now if you multiply this times this, there's your -1. Be careful with perpendicular. It's called negative reciprocals, and some of my students go change sign flip. So that's up to you. Now I need to put this in the appropriate position. So y minus my y value equals slope, x minus my x value. I'm going to change that to a positive. Now I'm going to distribute through. Get my calculator over here. So I'm going to do a -13 divided by 3 times 2. Go frac it. So when that gets distributed, I get a -26/3. Okay? Remember, one more step and I'll have it in y equals form. I got to do the opposite here in my calculator. So I'm going to go +7. Let me go frac it. So I should have a -5/3. So let's see if I do. There it is. Very quick when you use your calculator. This formula up here is one that technically you've used. Like I said earlier, go up there at the very beginning in method 1, cross multiply, and you have it. Regardless of which method you use, you're going to have to know what formula that you're going to play with. Thank you.